Visitors to the State Fair are struck by the sprawling nature of the grounds and the buildings from different eras. But what if you went to the fair in, say, 1886? What would you have seen then? I know for a fact you would have seen this. Built in 1865, Grandfather's Barn is the only remaining structure from the 1886 Iowa State Fair land purchase. The fair moved to its present location in 1886. Therefore, the fairgrounds are just over 129 years old. Prior to that, the fair moved around the state. The first one was held in Fairfield in 1854. In 1879, it moved to Des Moines. 7 years later, nearly 263 acres of land was purchased from Calvin Thornton at $175 per acre. That's roughly $46,000 for what's likely the most visited real estate in Iowa's history. The Iowa State Fair had its permanent home.
It's basically morphed itself into part of the fairgrounds landscape as being the oldest original building that remains on these grounds.
Grandfather's Barn is a classic example of the basement barns built in Iowa before the turn of the century. The foundation is of native stone and the walls are constructed of rough-hewn Iowa lumber secured with wrought iron nails. For many years, the house was used as a residence for the fair's maintenance superintendents, but eventually had to be torn down due to disrepair. But the barn remained. For decades, it housed animals and was used as a petting zoo. It closed briefly in 1989 for safety reasons and was completely renovated in 1994. It was closed again in 2008 for further renovations and reopened in 2009. Today, it features the Wine Experience, a showcase of Iowa's wine and grape industry.
This building represents one of the oldest buildings on the grounds. Grandfather's Barn is the oldest building on the grounds. It was here before we were. Pioneer Hall was part of that original construction when they were bolstering those first years of activity here in Des Moines.
Pioneer Hall boasts the high ceilings, the decorative millwork, and the distinctive cupola high atop its roof, typical of exposition halls of the time.
Originally, believe it or not, the building itself was a dormitory that was used for staff. There was a survey done by the government back in 1941 when the war was going on, because they were actually looking at how they might annex the fairgrounds for support of that. And there's some old photographs from that time that would show how some of the interior has changed. But at that time, they would have had some interior partition walls, some restrooms and those sorts of things, and essentially a lot of those have been stripped out and is more of like what you see today. One thing that our grounds has that I think is difficult to recreate anywhere else is that we have been able to capture and preserve a lot of the facilities that were once here, and I think that offers an interesting juxtaposition against seeing the skyline of downtown staring off from a barn that originated in roughly 1865. I feel very good about trying to keep these structures in good condition so that we can save them, because when I compare new facilities against ones that are existing, the one thing that you can't build into them is history and the characters. So even though it has its rustication, its rough edges, its bumps and bruises, it always is there to tell a story, and that only occurs through a sense of time.
The Iowa State Fairgrounds are comprised of a large collection of late 19th and 20th century buildings. Grandfather's Barn and Pioneer Hall may be the oldest, but they're only a sampling of the many structures here, all with interesting stories to tell. This project is supported in part by the State Historical Society of Iowa, Historical Resource Development Program, the Liberty Fund at Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines, and by Margaret J. Gurau of Ames to support history, arts and culture, and nature programming for all Iowans.